This video will begin the last section of Geometry A, and we are going to move to a different type of shape, and we're going to talk about circles in this unit. So, as always, we've got to talk about some definitions. So what exactly is a circle? A circle is a set of all points equidistant from a given point, which we call the center. So if here's my center, all of these points that are equidistant from that center, and this equidistant we know is called radius. When we connect the dots, becomes our circle. A chord is a segment with endpoints on the circle, and that's the key word. So a chord could go from here to here. A special chord could go through the center. A chord could cut from here to here. It's just a segment with endpoints on. Now a diameter is that special chord, endpoints on, that passes through the center of the circle. So it is this blue one that goes through the center, and that is an important shape for our later calculations. Radius is a segment with endpoints at the center and on. At the center and on. So if this is our circle that's equidistant from here, radius is center to on, but our diameter is through. And we know from earlier math that the diameter is equal to 2 radius, because I've got a radius here and a radius there. That's all review. Now a tangent line might be a new term. It's a line which intersects or touches the circle in exactly one point. So it's this cool line that's just going to come and bump up, bad drawing, come and just bump and touch in one spot and keep going. And it's going to have some unique properties that we'll learn about later. Now, just to quickly review, remember the circumference is our distance around a circle. In our other shapes, we talk about this as the perimeter, has a special name in circles, and our circumference is equal to our pi times our diameter, or circumference is equal to pi 2r, and we know that 2r is the same as diameter. Area is equal to pi r squared, and that's a term that you might be used to. These two formulas are on your cheat sheet, but they're ones that you probably should just know. As a matter of point, always use the pi key on your calculator. It will insert way more decimal points than just 3.14, and in fact, leaving pi in an answer is typically best. It makes it an exact answer. So we talk about the area could be equal to 8 pi units squared. And that would be a better answer than whatever 8 times 3.14 blah 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 is. Now let's name some of these and practice some of this new information. Naming circles, they're always named by the center. So whatever letter is at the center, so this is circle H, and that is the official notation for a circle. Name a chord. Well, there are several chords here. One of them would be AB, and remember it's a segment. Another one would be DB. Those are both chords. Now a diameter, remember, is a special chord that goes through the center, so our diameter here is DB. A radius, I have two to choose from, DH or HB. And a tangent line, there are two tangent lines. This is not, sorry, there's one tangent line. This is not tangent. because it's going to intersect in two places, but this line here is your tangent line because it intersects nicely at point C. Remember, we name a line with 2 points, so that is line EC. So be sure that you're careful with how many times a line intersects. This line, just for curiosity, is called a secant line, and you may encounter that in some later mathematics. Let's go ahead and try to find the length of QT, which is this odd little segment right here, given some different information. So let's go ahead and mark our picture that R to S, this little piece right here, is 4, P to S is 16, and R to U is 22. So the key to this is kind of breaking apart these measurements and making sure we don't overlap at all. So I'm going to start first with this 22. That is the diameter of circle T. And so I know that that makes this piece 11, and it makes this whole piece 11. And if R to S is 4, then that means that S to T is 7. And I can kind of do the repeat over here, that 16 is the diameter of circle Q, so that means that this piece is 8, Q to S is 8, which means that Q to R is 4. And then if I just come back in here, what do I need for Q to S? I need 4 plus 4 plus 7, and Q to T rather, QT is equal to 15 units. The next two examples are going to quickly go through how to find circumference and radius. So circumference, given a diameter, what is the circumference? That is an easy substitution. Circumference equals pi times diameter. So the circumference is 16 pi units. That is an exact answer and perfectly appropriate. The minute you go to your calculator, we use the little wavy equals because we're going to get an estimate. And if we take 16 times using our pi key, 3.14 blah blah blah, we end up with approximately 50.3 units. So be sure to read your directions carefully if it's an exact answer or an approximate answer and what is acceptable. Now, number 2, it's going to require a couple of steps. I'm given the circumference is 24 pi, but I want the radius. So whenever we're given something, we always want to set it up with our equation. Circumference is equal to pi times diameter, but since I want radius, I know I have another circumference formula. Pi is equal to 2r. Circumference equals pi 2r. Now if I just start substituting in what I know, replace circumference with circumference, 24 pi equals pi 2r, and I start doing some basic algebra. I have pi on both sides, so let's divide by pi. Pi and pi cancel. 24 equals 2r. Now that was a nice cancellation. Had I multiplied by 3.14 blah blah and rounded, I would have introduced a rounding error and my numbers may not have come out nice and neat like this. Divide by 2, r is 12 units. Go ahead and try the practice questions that follow this video and tune into part 2.